What's up, legends? We got teams to go through here. We got 5 good questions that a couple have sent to me and a couple I've just put together from what you guys are asking me here in a little summary kind of way here. So first one we're going to go through. What's the right amount of players for round 13 and 14? And it's something we spoke about in depth in that video the other day. The impact of the 3 teams. Go to that thumbnail there. That video was really important. Actually goes through my buy schedule and what I'm looking at with my planning in my team at the moment, where it's sitting, how many players I've got for each game, each round there. I think it's really helpful. And this last question here, where we speak about bench and emergency, that's going to come into play as well. So I'll pop up that spreadsheet once we get down to that one. But what we're looking at here is sort of 11 to 12 players. I think is going to be pretty good for round 13, because if you're someone that's pumped the trades pretty hard for this first portion of the year, you haven't saved too many, like you've saved less than 3. So coming into this week, you have 27, you have 25, 24 type of trades left, then you're in a little bit of trouble to be able to get a full amount of players on the park in 13 and then 14 as well. And that coincides with the emergencies and the interchange issues that you would have with some cheap guys that may not even play, to go along with 3 teams having the bye: Eagles, Dragons, and also the Knights in round 14. And obviously 7 teams with a bye and the Origin players in 13, and potentially having guys not back up in 14 as well. So I think going for somewhere around that 11 to 12 mark, and that's probably 11 good players with one sort of cheapie that might get you a 20 or a 25 or something like that. So that's where I'd be at for 13. I just think if you overload and go for 13, you're probably going to have 13 or 14 max in round 14, unless you're trading really hard. Obviously through that period you can have 4 trades, but I think that if you do use those 4 trades in that time, you're going to run out very quickly. Yes, you get 8 at the end of the buy period, but if you're pumping trades just for the buy rounds here, you're trading out a lot of keepers. You're bringing in marginal keepers who you're going to have to trade out come round 2021 anyway. So I think that would be a big mistake if you went really, really hard in just 13 and 14. Because that would leave you short for 16. Like if you're not having to trade too hard through round 13 and 14, that means you've gone heavy on teams and players that are out in round 16. So you're looking at all the Bunnies guys, all the Broncos guys, obviously Cowboys guys in 15. They're not too bad for you, but you'd have sort of 3 or 4 out in round 15, which could make that round actually surprisingly a little bit hard for you to do really well. Dragons guys in round 16, so you'd be pumping your team full of them, and that would be okay. But then you'd have to make sort of a bunch of trades in 15 and 16 to then get round 16 right. So something to think about if you're looking at your team and how it's constructed at the moment. We'll pop that up now there. So we've got my squad here. And if you're in blue, you're not playing in round 13. So this is before any trades this week. So it would be 3, 4, 7. And then Katoa wouldn't count because he's not, because I'd have 3 halves in that position playing in round 13. So you're looking at that there. I only have 7 available in 13, which means I have a lot on the buy or out for Origin. And then round 14, Hopgood, Miller, Brown, Ben Masila, and Talau, both unlikely to play. If they do, great, but they're not going to score us anything special anyway, nothing to move the needle. So I would have 5 out in that round, which leaves me with already 16 players available. And that is currently not bringing in any further Knights players, any further, the Eels players, for example. In for round 14 there, that would be out in that one and stuffing me around. So that would mean that I'm bringing in guys that are going to be out in 16 most likely, unless I'm bringing in more Cowboys players. The guys I'll be bringing in would be Dragons players and the like there, which if you look at 16 at the moment, I have a few more players playing. 7, we got all the way up to 11, which is solid. So that's good for now, but I'm going to be reducing that number when I trade out some of these guys that have a bye in round 13 or Origin guys for guys that are going to be out in 16. The only Origin guy I think I'm going to move on is Murray. So in that case, moving him on at the moment would mean that I do get an extra player in 16 just naturally, which is good. But yeah, that's where we're at the moment. I've got Murray in that interchange there in 14 if you were looking at that. So that's where we're at with that sort of planning at the moment. I think you need to look at that in depth. All right, we've got Cam. He is back. Jack under de Bedlin. Of course he is. Jamie Gunsbrown, I've missed you in your analysis on my team. You've been MIA, Cam. Good to have you back in a decent rank as well, 3,200 after a big week last week. I think 850 odd last week. No, 820 odd was something good anyway. But yeah, what have we got here? Best approach to stealing the moon. I I think it's pretty easy, man. Surely just throw a lasso around it and bring it down. That's how they do it in the movies, right? What color is a Humdinger? I'm going to say pink. There you go. Fastest way to get a six-pack in 3 days. I need to impress my cousin. That's really strange, and I think we'll move on from that. Impress your cousin. Please tell me it's not a girl. Come on, Cam. Trade in targets, Manu, TPJ, Bird, Hosts, and slash GCam. Trade out targets, BMM, Warbrick, Ellie Guitar, and Leoro. Okay, yep. Fair on all fronts there. Ben Priscilla straight to Manu. Why the hell do you have so much cash available? And if you're going to do that, this is something I'm speaking about with the bench. So him having done that now is going to be really helpful for the squad there, I think, going forward in that one. So he's already brought in Manu, and that leaves him with a bench of Katoa, Luke, Couchman, Camperera, and Talau. A bunch of those guys either aren't going to be playing or they're going to be pretty low scorer in your squad. So if you're counting them as a number in 13 and 14, it does make it pretty tough. So I think for you, mate, improving that position and trading out Ben Priscilla, eventually moving on from like Camperera would be a good idea. Couchman, you want to get a bunch more cash rises out of him, but moving on from one of those dud cheapies right now to a gun in Manu, I think is going to be the best play here. Let's do one more. First things first, 13. There you go. Hi, Jamie. Love the vids. Thank you, mate. Hoping you help me make a few decisions. My targets are Bird, Manu, and other general guns that could help me gain ranks through the buy period. Who should I look to sell? In here, I think having Blore there is a bit frustrating. Low break even. I think you can hold him and use him as a looper this week, especially when you've got guys like Katoa and Couchman that you could try and loop with, and 40 and those types of players there. So that's cool. If you're looking at your top four, they're amazing. Don't look to trade out them. I think Preston, Hosking, Ford, Katoa, Blore, Couchman, Metal Priscilla. There's a lot of edges in this squad. And then Lemuelu, who can cover that position as well. I think one of them needs to go in the next couple of weeks. It might be Katoa. You don't have the arrow, so that helps you on that front. You also don't have Warbrick, so you're only sitting there with Grant and Katoa in the Storm side, so you could hold both of them. That would be fine. Katoa has a potential chance to be a keeper longer term, which is good, so that's that. But Lockie Miller, Perham, and Tabuai Fido. I think Perham's the one to move on. You obviously don't have much cash in the bank, and I don't know who you'd go to, so you might have to drop down from someone, which is a little bit hard, to be honest with you, with your position at the moment. So it's almost worth holding this week. My thoughts were Alimony and Perham to Manu and a cheapie. Can you actually do that? How cheap? Yeah, I suppose you could, but is that a real good cheapie? You've got Nicarima at the cheapest price. You could go Granville, which would be a big risk, and then you're showing yourself that you have Blore, Katoa, Couchman, Murdoch, Priscilla, Nicarima, and Granville. So I would probably hold off on that one. Just bring in another cheapie that we're not sure is going to do really well. So I have so much money tied up in the mids. Maybe sell Murray and get TPJ or Alimony to Manu. That would be better. I would understand that, but yeah, that's the decision you made last week or the week before was to get Madison, and that sort of has put a lot of money in that position. I think you could do it this week if you wanted to, but I still feel like Murray is a hold all the way through or close to round 13, unless there's like a must-have in some cheaper position that's going to do a better job for you. So that's that. Before we move on to this squad, we'll get back into the questions. Number 2, captaincy rankings. I think it's very clearly Hines on top against a slightly lesser opponent. Cleary up against the Bunnies. It's probably going to be wet here in Sydney. I'm up the coast at the moment, but it's absolutely pissing down at the moment. So does that help or hinder Cleary? I don't think it makes it any easier, but I think it's going to be a lot of kicking, back and forth in this one. Obviously, both teams like to run the footy, but I can see a back and forth affair of kicking. I'm personally probably going to be captaining Cleary, and then I think Haas would be next. If you want to go real risky, you could go for like a Manu or something like that, but it's very, very interesting how this is going to work in captaincies this week, and nothing is super clear. Cleary, obviously, in the past, you've captained him against great teams, and he's done great. So it's never usually a big problem, but we saw how he played at the start of the year. He's playing different to how he played in those first couple of games, and he got injured in one of them, and he got 60 in the other. So, not too bad overall. I think he's still a good captaincy opportunity, probably somewhere in the 60s, similar to what Haas is going to get anyway. Murray would be fine as well. Grant would also be fine, but you're obviously scared of his 36, but I'm expecting a big bounce back, and I really think Grant could be the one to absolutely smash it for you. So he's in that 3 and 4 bracket, I think, as well. All right, let's move on to that next one. So what have we got here? After a few good rounds of stagnated of late, luckily I haven't lost rank, sitting at 6,000, but I need to start climbing a bill for Origin. The 3 trades I've made so far. Would love to hear your thoughts and alternatives. All right, what are the trades? Pretty sure I'm Blore to Host, Perham to Crossland trades, but I'm also considering Cheese in place of one of them. I think Cheese is a solid one. He doesn't help you for Origin cover. He helps you for next week, obviously, but so does Tanner Boyd. So if you're holding Tanner Boyd longer term, then I think Smithy's going to be fine. He could cover mids, as well as, Boyd could cover half as well. I think both of them are fine, but I will also look to hold Blore, so however that works for you. Also considering Cheese, a bit more expensive, but maybe helpful during the Origin than Crossland. Well, in terms of your half position, you have Boydie, who can cover with Cleary and Johnson for the half, so just think about that. And you got Katoa as well, so probably not worth bringing in another half on top of that. But I understand why you're looking to do that. It doesn't really fix round 13 if you bring in Cheese, for sure. Talk between fixing weak areas like wing fullbacks and centres now, or preparing for round 13 where basically every part of my team is lacking currently. Yeah, well, that's fair. Wing fullbacks and I think wing fullback you got to fix. That's where I'd be looking to improve. Other options, considering Hammer, Walsh, Penasini. Hammer the cheapest, obviously, then Penasini, then Walsh, so you can make that decision there. I think you should go a wing fullback first, so let's rule out Penasini in that one. Hammer covers both, which is great. You've got Jack de Belin. Oh, these are the trades there. Blore to de Belin, Cartwright to Crossland, Perham to Host. I think you use Cartwright and Perham to get a good wing fullback. Maybe it's Hammer, maybe it's Walsh. Either one of them I think is good. And then Perham to Host would be fine. I can see that as a good trade. So you've already brought them in and you still have the bad wing fullback. So yeah, I think I'd just improve that wing fullback. There's no real reason to get another gun mid at this stage. When you've got 40 dead to cover. I understand having some type of mid. DeBella might be that play. It's very tough, actually. You got Taps there. Potentially you trade Taps instead, because you've got so many good mids. If you are bringing DeBellin, I think trading out Taps would be the way to go to get a good wing fullback. So that would be my play on that one, mate. Well done with your team so far. Well, Caleb in at 3,400, but let's go back to the questions. Get someone who will only make a little bit of money, but plays 2 more games than others over buy period. Yeah, so let's have a look at that as well on my spreadsheet. If you're looking at Dolphins players for 1, that's an important one there. You've got, let's just look at Katoa down here, or Lemuelu. So Lemuelu down here only misses 1 game over that 7-game period, so 8-game period, sorry, which is really important. So he obviously misses in round 11, but then only misses 1 from there. You look at other players, Cleary for 1. He's someone that misses 3 games. There's other people that miss 2 games, which is very fair as well. Miller, someone like that. He's just going to miss the 2 games. So these types of players, only 2. So how you need to look at this is if you have someone who's playing, you bring in Hammer, he doesn't play Origin. He plays a couple games more than someone of his caliber. So if you pick another wing fullback like Teddy, you say that they're going to be fairly close in point scoring output, which is going to be fair. Let's just say they're 5 to 10 points difference, but for this example, they're both going to score the same. You're trying to pick between 2 guys in 1 week, and they both score the same. They both cover the same position. So how that would work is if Hammer and Teddy are averaging 45 each, you would then be replacing them with either no one in that week. So you'd lose 45 points twice, 90 points across those 2 weeks, 45 points if they're only playing 1 less than the Hammer. That would be fine. 1 week would be fine, but 2, not good. If you have a replacement, they're likely to score 25 to 30, so you're losing 15 to 20 points across both of those weeks. So however that works there, 30 to 40 across those 2. What that means is that worth a trade to try and get that extra points in those kind of weeks? Is it worth stuffing up your team across those weeks to get that extra points? And it's not. 15 to 20 points is great, but across those weeks, you'd rather keep a good player in your side that's going to miss a couple of weeks, that's going to be there at the back end. 1, so you can save a trade, but 2, so you're not absolutely moving things around all the time and trying to sneak that extra little bit and stressing yourself out across that period, because that's the hardest part, is just the stress around it all and making sure you're getting this certain amount of players. You're trying to think of trying to get yourself to a point where you're getting a certain amount of points each and every week. It's not not necessarily around players, it's all around those points, which is the most important part. So that's what I'd be thinking around that. It happens in a lot of those positions. So if you don't have a ridiculous amount of Origin guns in there, you've got some guns that are New Zealand players that aren't going to miss time over that period, then they're going to be absolute gold. And if you are bringing in guys from here on, having a look at if they miss 1 game, if they miss 2 games in that Origin period, if they miss 2, is it in a big major bye week? Is it in a lesser week? You look at Parramatta, they have buys in 14 and 18, and that's very helpful. Whereas, guys like Hammer, he misses 1, but it's in 16. So how much does that hurt you in that one? So think of it like that, guys. And we'll get back to our lovely team. Caleb, problems. Emergencies are not earning money. I want to get Hines for captaincy, improve wing fullback. Okay, you can get Hines for captain. I understand that. But you have Cleary, Johnson, Boyd at the moment, Crossland, no Katoa. But yeah, anyway, you've got too many halves at the moment. I don't think you can get Hines unless you were trading out Johnson, which you could almost straight do right now. Johnson to Hinesy there. I want to get Hines for captaincy, improve your wing fullback. So if you're going to improve your wing fullback, you're not going to be able to get Hines. So just get that. Learn that at the moment and work that out now. Can't quite decide what the most important problem to solve. This will determine how to spend my cash in the bank. 204k. Planning on keeping Thompson for centre wing fullback cover. Beautiful. I think Warbrick, it's time to go with that 200k. That's simple as. Crossland's making money, but no one else. I need to get BMM to allow to start making cash. I can't see any clear cash cows, considering upgrading one of them to someone like Host, but worried about having that much money in my emergencies. Well, you don't want to have no one in your emergencies, like in terms of cheapies. I think that would be not great. I would be moving on from Cartwright. You could go Cartwright to Host if you wanted to. That would be fine. You could upgrade Warbrick. You could upgrade SJ to him. Yeah, I just don't really rate it because Johnson's going to be so great through the origin period. Need to stop having to play Warbrick. In the ideal world, the Roosters get things together. I could bring in Manu if he stays at 6 or Tedesco in round 9. Yeah, either one of them's fine. The suggestion I made, Cartwright down and then upgrading Warbrick would be great if you're going to hold Thompson. You could upgrade a Ben Masila, but you're not the worst position for your team value and the amount of cheapies you got sitting there. Thompson's going to do a job over that period for sure, especially through round 13. Host will do that as well. Yeah, I think that's where the team's at the moment. Good stuff. All right, Mr. Keyworth, thank you for sending me through again. We'll get through those questions first. Top Guns to target for Origin. I'll go in depth next week. Beautiful. That was me adding that at the end. I'll go in depth next week. But we're looking at non-Origin guys from Dolphins who missed 1 game there. Dragons who miss one clear one in round 16 and then 1 right at the end. You've got the Raiders there who miss a game this week. And then you get them all the way through to round 16 as well. So they're important for 13. Broncos are in 16 as well. Cowboys are in 15. And 20. That's the Cowboys one. 15, 19? No, 15, 20 is a cow. So important there to pick up guys like that. So obviously Dolphin guys are clear. It's really Hammer. Lemuelu, I wouldn't really look to pick him up, but Hammer's the only real top gun that you'd be looking to select from the Dolphin side. Gilbert's there, but he'll be an Origin guy. Dragons, it's the Birds of the world, Jack DeBellins. That's what I'd be looking at there only. Raiders, it's really Tapiti. That's all I'd be looking at there. Broncos, you've got Walsh if he doesn't make Origin. It would be someone you'd be looking at. Hassan Carrigan will play Origin. No real other guns. Like Reynolds could be a half a play there for sure. A lot of people have him already, but he's been doing pretty solidly. And Cowboys, guys like Drinkwater could be an option if they start to pick things up. Holmes will be gone. Robson, still a target to be looking at there. In those ones, just really any non-Origin guns that you could think of. Obviously, McInnes will do a bit of a job over that time, but they don't have any Origin guys apart from potentially Hines, which doesn't affect him. So that's just a general thought, but I will do a massive video on this. I'm thinking Monday, when we have no games on, content's going to be a little bit slow next week, or it's going to be after really fast after from Wednesday. Just for Wednesday and Thursday, unfortunately. So I will get that big video out on Monday. I'm very excited for that one as well. Before we talk about the bench and the emergency issues, let's get back to our lovely team here. Yeah, Matty's team. So sitting here at a solid rank of 4,800. Needs to keep moving this team value up, which is solid at the moment, 12.33. Remember, he's got his little gun, milk for cash, still making plenty of cash or on the chopping block there at the moment. So trade out targets Carrigan, Trindle, and Cartwright if bench. So as I said, guys, you can wait most likely until that second game of the round. Just lock in your Panthers guys, your Bunnies guys in the starting side, captaincy, vice captaincy, and then you don't have to make any trades unless you're looking to bring one of those guys in. Whether it be a Ford or something is the only frustrating thing for me, that I'm not really going to know the Hopgood situation before I bring in a Ford. A Host. Keep getting them mixed up. They're 4-letter words, but that's kind of my only issue at the moment is that Host situation and what we do with him if Hopgood is starting or benched or whatever. Anywho, milk. There's milk everywhere. If I hold for the loot, do I just hold till 13 and hope Hines plays Origin? Big dollar gains for sure, man. I think that's fine. It's obviously a little bit of cash. If there's a clear trade in target for Trindle, then I think that would be great. Oh, Miller's got a photo. Didn't even notice that. That's great. Good on you, Mill. Trading targets: Host, Penasini, Moses, JMK, Robson in a few weeks. So yeah, still sitting with no clear hooker gun. Obviously Marnie's there, but he's been average at the moment, 39. Trade ideas: Carrigan to Host plus Cardi, or Cardi. Oh, sorry. Carrigan to Host plus Cardi to Penasini and Moses. If Cardi gets benched, I found that solid. With a fair bit of cash in the bank, 166 remaining, or 322 for Penasini. Carrigan to Host, Trindle to Penasini Moses. Trindle. Yep, sweet. I think Cardi's probably the trade out anyway, man. I think that's fine. No Trindle equal no loop. Probably use cash for Moses next week. I think the loop's going to be great, man. You've got Couchman, Kenny, Warbrick, Sonny, Luke, all guys that I think you should be looping there. So I would hold Trindle in that one. Probably look to do the first one then. I think Cardi out and bringing in Moses would be great. You have Bird, Alamotti, which is cool. Hammer, that could slot into the center position. Sloan's doing a job, which is fine. You've got Kenny as your hooker cover, who I told you to play last week and you didn't. Yeah, that's what we're looking at there. No other thoughts, really. I think Cardi and Carrigan, probably the plays, and you can get anyone you want, really, which is great. Origin plan needs 6 more players to play 13 in round 13. He's in the same position as me there. Currently, Robson for hook, and will be cut price in a few weeks. Yeah, that definitely helps. Harris for mid, wait a couple of weeks for sure. Also, you could almost wait till 13, I think, with Harris. Host for edge, Moses for half, Penasini for center. These are my best options for cover when looking at the full 8-week origin period based on current prices and form. Host seems the most urgent for this week, along with Penasini, as they have the lowest BEs, although I can afford Moses instead of Penasini. I want to go for sheer points rather than price. Yep, I agree with all that. He's flatlining too. Maybe he's dying. There you go. Good ranking though after the slow start, but yeah, that's that one there. And then just finishing off with my final thoughts on the bench and emergency issues. So we spoke about that as being really important. If you've got BMM, Talau, Couchman, all these guys that aren't going to score too great, most likely over the origin period, you have them sitting there for the entirety of the time, and that means round 14 you're going to struggle a little bit. Round 17, even there I've got 17 currently, but it's going to change dramatically, I'd imagine, over that time. Round 18 should most likely be fine as well, but you got Eels players on a bye, so I'm sitting there currently with 17 available in round 18 when there's only one team on the bye. So fixing up that those positions there is going to be pretty important just to get, when I spoke about before about picking 2 guys that one had the 1 bye, one had 2, or one had 3. This is making it look like you're missing out on 20 to 30 points every single week for 8 rounds. So that's pretty wild, right? So 160 points over that period, a lot bigger than 30 or 40. So worrying about your emergencies is a lot more important than worrying about that marginal guy that's going to miss that one extra game. So something to think about, something to leave it on, and we'll get through my potential trades in the next video later today. I'm not sold at the moment. I think I am going to have to wait for the Hopgood news, unless I'm happy to just hold him this week and make our decisions going forward. Like, he can still get 50 minutes and score really well, but I am worried about his output if he's not in the starting side getting big minutes. So I'll leave you at that, and good luck with this week, guys. Long one.